Happy Monday. If you're watching this on a replay, please put in the comments you're watching it on a replay. I love to see who's catching up with me after the fact. We'll give this just a minute to get caught up. There we go. I hope everybody's doing well. Hi, hi, hi. As always, tell me hi. Tell me what you're working on. What good thing is going on in your life this week? Hi, Julie. Thank you. It's a little bit of a theme this week. I don't know. I seem to gravitate to, as much as everybody thinks I love green, I do love this burgundy color. Let's see what everybody's saying. Julie finished her shawlography. Debbie's still working on her pinions. Hi, Mom. Hats. Awesome. Hello, hello. Bonnie, how does, have you done a sock pattern from Andrea Mowry before? I know she does a lot of accessories and sweaters, but I didn't know she did socks. I'm curious to know how you feel about the pattern, if it's written well. Barb Heilbronn. Hi, Barb. Mom's knitting the transient. Sherry, good. I'm glad you like the picture, the colors. It's fun when somebody says, oh, bright pinks, pale pinks, whatever, and I can just go through and pull stuff. Finished La Mandiola. Marcella. You guys, I love it. Everybody's working on a lot of stuff now. We're in the thick of it, I think. Hi, Ashley. So I will go ahead and get started. Welcome to Monday Motivation. Today is Monday, January 24th, 2022. That's a lot. My name is Kristen. I'm the owner of the Little Yarn Shop in downtown Saginaw, Michigan, inside the SVRC Marketplace. I was just telling Melissa before this started that I want to start introducing my online audience to some of the other vendors here. If you've not been in the marketplace in a while, or you're out of town and you've never been in the marketplace, lots of really neat vendors, and I need to do some intros so people get to know them too. Char working on simple. Good. Well, afterthought heel. Ooh, that's one I haven't done yet, but it can't be that much different than what we did with sweater surgery for you, Bonnie. Okay, so let's get into knits. Again, if you're popping on, tell me hi in the comments. Tell me what you're working on. I think each of you can see when people pop on that you know, but I don't see any of that unless you tell me hi. So I'd like to know who's out there watching. Hi, Nicole. So let's talk about knits. I am wearing the Stephenton Shrug. This was a test knit that I did a little while back. And as soon as I talked to, so it's Melinda Bauer, who is the same designer as see that orange hat back there? Caramelized Sugar, which quite a few of you have been doing it with the mohair and fingering weight held together. She had asked me if I would test knit this. I saw the style and thought a lot of customers would really like this little shrug style sweater. One of the good things is Jessica's working on a little baby girl. That's like Facebook official now. Does that mean I can talk about it? So the sweater, I used Juniper Moon Harriet Fine. So many of you are familiar with a Harriet as a baby alpaca yarn. This one has nylon polyamide. The front says nylon, the back says polyamide. 75% alpaca, 25% nylon. Good yardage, 461 yards. This yarn makes great socks because of the nylon content in there, really, really nice and warm. So the shrug comes in 3 sizes. I knit the smallest size, and this pattern, even at the test knit version, was so well written. I have in my project notes that at every point where I thought this would be a good point for her to stop and do a stitch count, or this would be a point where she should explain something a little bit more, all of that was in there. I was very impressed with how it was written. And now she offers 2 versions of the pattern, one with tutorials, because it's a different construction than just a basic sweater. So you'll see it kind of scoops around, and then I have to get my hair out of the way. But it's got this little fan in the back. So it's the way it's knit. Take it off and show you guys for a minute. It's actually chilly in here today. It starts with a provisional cast on in the center of the back, which you can't see, and that's the point. You knit the sleeves out, then pick up and knit all the way around. So Melissa was just kind of glancing through, and the tutorial says she walks you through a lot of that, a lot of the techniques. So it would be good for somebody who wants a little bit of a challenge, wants to learn a little bit of something too. Or if you know what, it's still a fun knit. So what's great is because it's an open front, it comes in 3 sizes, and it doesn't really have, it doesn't go by bust measurement. It goes by the measurement across your shoulders in the back. The other benefit is you could make that longer if you want. Like I have 3/4 sleeves. I had them pushed up a little bit, but you can make the sleeves longer if you want, very modifiable. And it only takes 3 or 4 skeins of this yarn to do it, which is fantastic. So the yarn's $23 a skein. Hank. It's much easier to call them skeins, but officially these are hanks. So I do have enough here in 4 different colors for those of you that are interested. If you see a color you like and it's something that you want, you can pop in the comments, tell us what color you want, how many you want, and whether you want to pick it up in the shop or have it shipped to you. And Melissa keeps track of all of that. So Melissa asked, what's the difference from a skein or a hank? Skeins versus a ball. So a ball or cake is either what we wind on the ball winder or that are hand wound. A hank is when they're hung, when they're twisted this way, not wound. Skeins, well, these are skeins. Some people will call them pole skeins, but it's just easier to call everything a skein, I think. So in trying to be proper, the small through, or I guess the extra small through the large take 3 hanks, and the 1X, 2X takes 4. I lost my paper for a second, it's right in front of me. So I have Merlot, which is what the color is that I used on mine. This beautiful blue, I call it Seascape. Where the facilities guys are saying hi to me. If you're ever here in the evening for a class, you're really likely to see Tony or Eddie hanging out outside, sometimes smoking, sometimes just hanging out there, keeping an eye on things. I love it. So that is Seascape. Then I've got this beautiful, it's called Basalt. I would say like a medium brown. And all of the colors are a little bit heathered. And of course it's got a little bit of a fuzz, but not too much fuzz because of the alpaca. What I like about this burgundy color, Merlot color, is I can't see it in this hank as much, but in mine knit up, you can see these little blips of different colors in there from where it spun, which I think gives it more texture. So Linda, it looks gray rather than brown. Okay, so comparison, does that help? The gray was my next one. So that's kind of a medium gray. And then this heathered, it's not a true brown. I mean, it's not like a chocolate brown. It's much more pale than that. So those are the 4 colors I have. I do have enough for, mostly I have enough for 2 sweaters quantities for this sweater in each color. Chandra, the yarn is Juniper Moon Harriet Fine. Harriet Fine. All of their other weights of this yarn are 100% baby alpaca. This has 25% nylon in it. There's a little label. Great yardage, 461 yards in these hanks. So sweater takes either 3 or 4. And we've got the 4 colors. Gray, where's Tammy when I need her? Tammy always comes up with the good names for color descriptions. I guess it can't be great at all the things. Okay. Mom says Jackie's on here. Hi, Aunt Jackie. So let me know if that's something you want. Again, the brown. I wonder if that's a little bit better. Medium gray, the Merlot burgundy, and the blue seascape. It's a beautiful blue. It's not, it looks pretty bright on my monitor, but I don't know if it looks that bright on everybody else's screen. Mine's sometimes a little wonky. Okay. Yes. Yeah, Chandra did one of the Andrea Mowry patterns, sweater patterns in that. Beautiful. Taupe. Tammy moonlighting at a Zoom birthday party. Yes, that blue is beautiful. Okay, so that's what I'm wearing. What am I working on? I am working on my Anchors summer shirt, which I made some serious progress on this week, you guys. And I held off from binding off the whole thing because I wanted to talk about bind offs. So this is my Anchors summer shirt. 2 colors. I love it so much. So the original is written for just 1 color. But I had seen somebody out there do 2. And you know, as soon as I started talking about this yarn a couple weeks ago, I had it in mind that it needed to be something. So the body is done. What I think is pretty cool, I always love seeing it on camera because it really shows variations in the yarn. You can't really tell where I alternated skeins and where I didn't. But so that's good. I mean, that means I didn't really necessarily have to alternate skeins. I did kind of through the middle portion. A couple of things when working with 2 colors, because I posted last week that I had to rip it out and start over again because of my not reading the pattern properly. It's probably one of the only patterns where I've started at the collar and it does not start with the smaller needle that you need for the ribbing. So it's my fault though, I still didn't read it. But something you need to think about or might want to think about when doing 2 colors like this. So the coral was the ribbing, and then this, I think it's called Sunspot, is where my increases are each time, and that's in stockinette. Well, when you switch from stockinette back to ribbing in a different color, a lot of times what you'll see is, I left a couple stitches in here. I just have to find them. You'll see little blips. Well, it's not going to show it on there. Doesn't show it really well, but you'll see little blips of two colors when you do your first row of ribbing. So what I did when I was changing was to knit my entire first row in the coral color, then switch to the ribbing. And you can't tell any difference other than you don't see those little crossovers of the colors. So I started binding off the bottom tonight, and I wanted to talk about that a little bit. One, I may need to go into a second skein for my sleeves if I'm going to do the ribbing on my sleeves, but I'm not sure. Bind offs are a tricky thing sometimes. This pattern, which a lot do, calls for binding off in ribbing. So binding off in pattern, which means if you're looking at a knit stitch, you knit it. If you're looking at a purl stitch, you purl it before you're doing your passing over. Because this is the bottom of a sweater, I started trying to consciously bind off a little bit looser, and you can see that. So off toward this side. So this is where I started my bind off. And I got about halfway across and I saw that it was kind of flaring a little bit. I kept going because I told myself, well, I'll just tighten it up a little bit and that'll block out. But once I did tighten it up a little bit, it looks way better. So I am going to rip this back and redo the bind off. And those are the things, like my having to rip out the yoke of the sweater to where I want everybody to see. When people come in and say, oh, everything looks so professional and the edges are so beautiful, it's because I take the time to do it the right way. And I'm willing to rip things out to get back on track. So just something to think about. The yarn is Malabrigo Verano, which is their cotton, 100% cotton, kind of a worsted DK weight yarn. The body did take 2.5 skeins. It did say that it was going to. It says 4 total, so I thought 1 coral and 3 of the orange. And that'll be just about right. Like I said, unless I need more coral for my sleeves. We'll see how that goes. But because it's seamless top down, it only has you do a couple inches of sleeves. I may decide I want to do more because I have more left. I may decide I just want to be done. So I'm working on that. A few of you saw that I posted a swatch with all of my summer colors between those and this beautiful bright swatch that I'll just show you guys for a minute. And you can't really tell. It's just this beautiful turquoise color. I wish it was, I don't think it's coming across as accurately. The picture that I posted the other day was pretty accurate in how vibrant the color is. So this is a new yarn that I will be carrying in the shop. I'm not going to talk too much about it yet because like a lot of indie dyers, they are they're, I don't want to say behind schedule because they've told people it's going to be 8 to 10 weeks. But I think it's going a little bit slower than they would like. But it's a sport weight hand dyed yarn, which I don't really have a whole lot of. Like if you look up here, I've got some fiber company, which some of them are dyed before they're spun, some of them are dyed after. And I do have a little bit of Malabrigo Sucero, and Malabrigo Arroyo kind of bounces between DK and Sport, but it's been a long time since I've had a real indie dyed sport weight yarn. So my rep sent a skein to me, and I wanted to learn about it. So I cast on like you do. I doubled. I have kind of a pattern in mind. So I looked at their gauge, doubled the, I think they said 22 stitches over 4 inches. So I cast on 40. So I had a big chunk to work from. And I did this on 2.5s, 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s. So you can see different texture. It's so squishy. But I love doing this. What was interesting is my gauge actually tightened up a little bit when I blocked it. So a lot of times we think about superwash yarn being really stretchy and having to pay attention to gauge in terms of it growing too much. But surprisingly, this, I mean, it's super stretchy. It bounced back, evened out, of course, evened out all the stitches, but I can't wait to get this yarn, and I've got all kinds of ideas what I want to do. So does Melissa. So I'm working on that. Now I'm kind of debating on what do I do with the rest of the skein. Of course, that's not a color I initially ordered, but it's going on the list of colors because it's gorgeous. And I'm making slow progress on my simple as hat. This, you guys will see this a lot in my what I'm working on because I primarily just want it to keep my hands busy while I'm talking to you guys. So I'm just knit around and around on it. Coming up, okay, so let me talk about the simple as hat pattern. Melissa just posted a link to it. It's very versatile. It's written for preemie all the way up to an XL, I don't know, big. I don't remember what I'm doing. I'm doing the 20-inch, but it goes all the way up to a 23-inch circumference. And of course, it's got 1 to 2 inches of negative ease in it. So it can stretch over a larger head, obviously, but really easy hat, great just for quick knit projects if you need one for somebody. Bev, got your sock knitting homework done. Excellent. We're 2 weeks into Joyce's sock class, and they're learning Judy's magic cast on, magic loop, toe up, 2 at a time. It's awesome. I love it. I love to see people stretching their minds, learning something new. It's great. Along those lines, Joyce does have another class coming up. It's not for socks. It's for the Knit Companion app. So she's taught this before. Knit Companion is, I snagged the, hi Cora from Virginia. I snagged the shop iPad and it doesn't have Knit Companion on it, but I can pull up, of course it went away. I can pull up their graphics to show a little bit about the benefits of it. So Knit Companion is an app that allows you can use it as simply as a PDF reader or as complexly as doing something like this. So highlighting different increases, decreases. It counts the number of stitches. If you set it up properly, it will count the number of stitches between a long segment. This is, I think I kind of referred to it when I was working on my husband's sweater, and there were these long stretches where I knit with one color and I had to sit there and count every single one. If I had taken the time to set it up in this app, it would have counted those for me. on the simple end, you can use it, import your pattern and just highlight things. So you can highlight the row that you're on. Cora, the class is not Zoomed, it's in person only. We haven't quite figured out how to do that. So she's offering 2 sessions and we're trying a couple things. One, the class is on Mondays, or it's on a Monday, February 7th and February 14th. You can hang out with us for Valentine's Day. They are independent of each other. So if you can only make one class and you can't make the class on the 7th, you could come on the 14th. But Joyce wanted to do 2 classes in case you took the first one, went home and played with the app, and then had more questions, which might be pretty likely. So we've got 2 Mondays in a row. Kathy, finish your homework. You need the yarn Joyce has to start more. Yes. Okay, so that is 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Each class is $10. Like I said, they're independent of each other. I love it. Somebody just signed up for the class. My watch told me so. Fantastic. So that class is coming up. The other thing coming up is, yes, it's $10 each class. So if you took both, it would be 20. You don't get the second one as a gimme, I guess is the way to put it. Upcoming then would be my next project. And so I wanted to get some input from you all on whether my next project should be a sweater or a cowl, or maybe you have a different idea, but I have this Bella Cash, Universal Yarns Bella Cash, in a whole bunch of colors. There's some of it back here you can see in this thing, but I've got a big box of it in the back. And I want to do something with stranded knitting, so like the Fair Isle type knitting. I just don't know what you guys, I'm just curious to know what you would rather see me working on. So one calls for 5 colors, one calls for 4 colors. Melissa posted both links. The Noten, I can't pronounce it, Noten sweater is kind of cheater stranded color work. Sorry, I can't see if you guys can see it. I don't know if that's any better than what the pattern picture is, but I love that it's shown. They have a lot of different photos of people in different colors and different sizes, but it's actually mosaic, and it's one of the few sweaters I've looked at that really has that stranded yoke look to it, but isn't actually stranded. So mosaic, you're only knitting with one color at a time. So that's my one option. The other option is this very cowl, which is done, needs a little bit more technique. It has a provisional cast on, it's knit in the round, uses 4 colors, but it's fairly simple stranded color work in terms of how many stitches between each color. Can't read and talk at the same time. So tell me what you think. I want to do something that's 4 or 5 colors. Like I said, I have a whole bunch of this yarn and I want to do something fun with it. I do have some baby garments knit up with it, but a little while back, Cindy came in and she had done this beautiful stranded, I think it was a vest. Can't remember if it was a short sleeve sweater or a vest. And it's just a great, it's a great yarn for other things. Lori, vote for a sweater in size small. So the yarn is, it teeters between fingering and sport weight. So for gauge, they say 24 stitches on a US 3, which is a little bit bigger than a typical fingering weight. Like this Harriet Fine says 28 to 40 stitches on a 0 to 3. So it's a little bit, I don't even want to say heftier, but it's a little bit thicker than that. I did use it for the black and white, very graphic shawl that I have hanging in the front window too. Linda, yes, I will show. So they come in 50-gram balls, 230 yards, and it's 60% superwash merino, 30% nylon, 10% cashmere. So I brought it in as kind of our version of cash merino, Bella cash merino, same sort of idea. So a lot of the Debbie Bliss baby cash merino patterns work for this, but I want to do something more grown up with it. So Linda, let me see if I can find a good picture of the two side by side. So one has all of the color work up at the top. The other is color work through the whole thing. And you guys know I'm a sucker for a striped sweater. And I'm kind of leaning toward the sweater. I do love making sweaters. Unless I know you love a good cowl. When my yarn rep was in last week, we got chatting about what's big over in Europe right now. And she said, stripes are a huge thing. Everybody's wearing stripes. And like, if you looked in my closet, half of what I wear is stripes. You know, I knit striped shirts. This is the shirt I wore in here today. I love stripes. They look great on everybody. I know some people don't think so, but I just want people to rock out good colors and impressive knitting, or what looks like impressive knitting. Linda's voting for the sweater. Do both. Sherry says cowl. Okay, so maybe I'll start the cowl and start the sweater and see see which one progresses more quickly. Because who doesn't need another project to work on? Sweater. Yeah, I know I have some sweater knitters out there. I just think it's a really cool. I do have a couple yoked sweaters that have color work but they're heavier weight. So this one being a fingering weight, and that's the other thing is the cowl calls for size 4 needles. The sweater calls for 2.5, 3s, and 4s. If it's in my typical gauge, I may have to drop down, which I'm not super thrilled about, but I really do like the sweater. Ashley, cowl. I know you love a good cowl. Sure, everyone do both. Yeah, that's probably what I'll do is kind of cast them both on and see. And I'd like to do different color combos for the two things, so I can give you guys a couple different visuals of colors working together. So that's what's upcoming. The only other notes I had on here were just some housekeeping things in terms of, I know I've mentioned yarn jail before. Our policy on returns and exchanges has pretty much been the same at least since we moved to this location. I'm pretty sure it's at the bottom of the receipts, but I don't know that anybody ever looks at that. So I did want to kind of go over that. Yarn can be returned for store credit within, now I'm looking at my sign and I can't see it from here. Oh, Sherry, the yarn is $9.50 a ball. So let me go back to that for a second. I'll try and remember where I left off. What's neat about the cowl is you only need one. Well, let me see. These have 230 yards, and the most it says you need is 250 yards in your main color, and then one ball each of your contrast colors. So you might need a second one of your main color, or you could just kind of play around with the patterns a little bit. That would be fun. Okay, so those are $9.50 ball. And so back to the return policy. So yarn, if it is in its original condition, and which would mean if you bought it and it was in a hank like this, it's still in a hank when you bring it back. As long as it's not from a home that has smoke or pets, then we will return it for you. Otherwise, unfortunately, it's unless there's a defect in the yarn, which I'm happy to take care of. And I want to know about those things too, so I can pass it on to the yarn manufacturers. Needles, patterns, notions, pretty much all of the other items in the shop are not returnable. Unless, again, there is something wrong. We've had a little run of some cord breakage, and I need to know that so I can pass it on, again, to the manufacturers. And I don't want you to be stuck with something that was a defect in the item. But pretty much once you've opened your needles or taken them out of here, they're not returnable. Of course, everything has exceptions, so I don't want to say it's hard and fast rule. Other housekeeping things. Maybe that's all I had. I thought I had more notes here, but I don't. Yeah, I guess that's all I had to talk about today. As soon as I'm done with that Anchors sweater, I might be casting on a couple other things. I'm going to try and make myself finish that before I cast on one of these new, either the sweater or the cowl. We'll see. But that pretty much wraps everything up for today. Again, if there's anything that you saw, you want to know more about, put it in the comments, send a message to me and let me know. Happy to help in any way we can. So I hope everybody has a good week. It's Monday. It was a little snowy here today, but seems to have leveled out a little bit. So have a good week. I hope you find ways to be creative, no matter what the form, whether it's yarn or fiber or something different. And I hope that you're inspired to start some things, finish some things, make some progress on things, rip them out if they need to be ripped out, but know that we're with you all the way. All right. Have a great night. Have a great week. And if I don't see you in the shop, I will see you all next Monday. Bye.